God.
Hey, Vusi. That was spectacular. Thank you so much for joining us. There's so much value that we can add, we can take away from that session. I was furiously writing notes, but as a Neolife distributor, it's all about excellence.
Yeah.
Become the best version of you. And something that I took away from that is, own your experience.
Yeah.
And I know some of our greatest leaders in this business, they don't even know who the upline is. Their upline disappeared on them, but they decided to become their own leader and to take charge of their own business. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Let's get into some questions. You ready for some questions?
Sure, let's rock and roll.
And we got a couple of questions that came in on a few of the platforms. And one of the questions is market saturation. I spoke to somebody and they said, well, you know what, you're going to run out of people. What are your thoughts around market saturation for a business such as ours?
Why would you run out, in other words, run out of customers?
Customers, distributors?
That'll never happen.
Yeah.
That'll never happen. I'll tell you why that'll never happen. The population CAGR in South Africa is 2.9%. What that means is the compounded annual growth rate of people being born is 2.9%. The economy is growing at 0%. This year it'll go back by 7%. In other words, the size of the economy that can absorb people is getting smaller, which means the people who are being born can't get jobs. That's why they're young people in corners everywhere. So this idea that a direct selling business that sells a good product and has solid value add will run out of people and market, that will never happen. I think you're going to have the inverse problem. The inverse problem is going to have people wanting to join the business to provide for themselves and to take care of their families because there's nothing else they can do. Right? So, I don't think you've got a saturation problem. I think you're going to have an opportunity mix problem, which is a fantastic problem to have.
We are in a good space. We're in a product line and a business space that is currently very relevant and it's growing.
Let me just I just want to make a quick point, right? And I think a lot of people in this kind of business forget this. In my world, I start things from scratch. So when I start, I have a laptop and a phone. And then I build. Right? People in this conversation don't start from scratch. You've got a product, you've got a business, you've got an infrastructure that supports you, you've got training that comes with that, you've got a brand that's well known in market. It takes entrepreneurs 15 years to get to that point.
Absolutely.
If you can't make it work with those odds, right? That's a reflection of the work ethic put in, not the business opportunity. I want to make sure that I'm clear on that point.
It's such a valid point. As a Neolife distributor, one of our missions, one of our goals is to empower people into business for themselves, but not by themselves, at a low starting point. And that's one of our goals to achieve it. And you mentioned it in your session. You've got to put HR structures in place, the marketing tools. We have all of that. All you have to do is step into it.
That's it.
And we have some people that we have the same product. We don't care where you come from, what you look like, how educated. We'll give you the same price list and product line. We will give you the same compensation plan that our diamond directors have used.
Love it.
Some people win, some people don't.
100%.
And that's what your session basically pivoted on.
100%.
It's up to you. Your success is up to nobody else other than you. So that's a great answer. Thank you so much. The next question is, this is a good one. This is a good one. I am excited. This is from a new distributor, I'm guessing. I'm excited, but I have no support from my friends and my family. How should I handle that?
Woo. You're going to get me into trouble. When I started, true story, my mom and I didn't talk for 5 years. Now, when I say that, people think I'm exaggerating, like we didn't know. My mom and I there was 5 years in my life, I didn't hear my mom's voice.
Wow.
And that was at exactly the time I decided to start my business. There's a reason for this, and the people watching this conversation know what I'm talking about. Predominantly, but not exclusively, in black society, the person who gets sent to school and gets an education has the responsibility to provide for everybody else. Which means you can't gamble with your economic fortunes. The minute you get the job, you've got to make sure the people coming after you can also go to school and you can provide for the family. So imagine my mom's surprise. She sends me to the best schools, I get the best education, I come out of that, I get a job, I get a second job, third job, and I'm like, I'm done, I want to do my own thing. She goes, what are you talking about? I remember my mom's words, exact words. She said to me, how do you think you're going to provide for your family not saying the words mortabus? In her mind, my economic success was a function of going somewhere and working for someone. But that's not my mom's fault.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear. This is not the fault. It's generally just the generation she came from.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Today, we're best friends. Why? Because I had to go through that journey in my own life and then show her what's possible. So what I want to say to this person is this. If the people around you are not excited, that's the challenge to prove what's possible, not the reason to believe that it won't work. Right? And by the way, this is so important. If there was no resistance, it's a path not worth traveling.
Amen.
So walk that path on your own, and as you prove it and prove it's possible, you make it easier for the people coming after you to do the same thing.
Yeah. And I think it is becoming easier now because perceptions are changing. I know when I was at school, I grew up in this Neolife entrepreneurial family. I saw my parents achieve complete financial freedom through Neolife. Yet the school system taught me to get an education, to go and find a job. In fact, the first 13 years of my working career, I worked in the investment banking corporate world. And you know what? It taught me exactly what I didn't want. And
You've gone from investment banking to Neolife?
To Neolife.
Holy moly.
But there's a story in that journey because the problem that this person is experiencing is not unique.
Yeah.
I would say it happens to every single Neolife distributor.
Absolutely.
I remember taking this, when my wife and I made the decision, hey, we're going to become Neolife distributors, taking our excitement to one of my best friends. He's still one of my best friends to this day. And you know what he said to me? He said to me, Drew, my aunt tried that once. It didn't work. You got a great career. Why are you doing this to yourself? Guess what? The first thing that was in my mind was quit. And I believe we are programmed that way. When things get difficult, we just try to get out of that discomfort.
100%.
And it's something that as an entrepreneur, near-life entrepreneur, you're going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
But can I just share a practical tip on how I overcame that? My wife and I said, okay, what are our dreams? Okay, remember, Vusi spoke about dreams. What is your dream? Why are you doing this near-life business? Why did you say yes? And we said, okay, well, will he educate our children one day? Will he look after us in retirement? I love to travel. Will they take us overseas with our children every year? Will he get me out of the corporate world? And obviously the answers were no.
No.
And so we made a decision that evening. I remember sitting in bed together that we would no longer put our future in the hands of other people's opinions. And it's one of the greatest decisions I ever made. Okay, next question. Okay, this is another relevant one, specifically for the South Africans on this call, and I know many African countries. All we hear is doom and gloom. The economy isn't growing. Things are going backwards. What is your take on this?
It's true, but so is gravity. I just, for me, I think here's what people do. So 2 comments to make on this. First, economic cycles are as natural as seasons. If there is an up cycle, there must be a down cycle. If there is night, there must be day. If there is summer, there must be winter. It's a natural part of life. So when people are saying the economy is going to go through a difficult time, yeah, that's true. It's just not going to be difficult for me. I'm sure it's going to be difficult. But I make the decision that for Vusi Thembekwayo, it's not going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Right? And so the first thing to do is to acknowledge the reality. The second thing to do is to then say, well, if this is the reality for everybody, how do I make sure that it's not the reality for me? Then what happens is you have to take ownership. You recognize that you're driving. I had one business last year where we had to retrench 80% of the people in that business. Now, very difficult 2 weeks of my life, I got to tell you. But you know what happened immediately after that? We started working, we started grinding. Then we win the best impact investment firm in Africa. Why? Because that's just what it takes. You got to go, it's tough, sure, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Ride the cycles. If everybody's saying gloom and doom, so that it's going to be tough, absolutely. But this is what this business is. It's an opportunity for people to provide for themselves in an environment that's tough. So actually for this business, it should be the inverse. You should be thriving. You should be signing on more people. You should be getting more users of your products. It really is about how you see it. Just a final note on this. Reality is 100% perception. 100% perception. Your world is 100% the way you choose to see it. Here's how I know this. I go to the gym, right? And there's a mirror in the gym. This is a true story. In the weight section, and anyone who goes to the gym knows this, in the weight section, did you know that they distort the mirrors to make you look wider?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
And did you know that when you go to the bathroom, they distort the mirrors to make you look slimmer? Why?
Smoke and mirrors, man.
Smoke, reality. So you're standing there doing weights. You're going, jeez, I'm bumping. But look at me. Then you go to the bathroom. You go, yeah, I'm seeing results because there's a psychology behind it. The recognition that if in your mind you believe it, then you're going to actualize it. What you have to learn is that reality follows perception. Perception doesn't follow reality. So what you believe in your mind will be. And as it becomes, you believe it. But if you're waiting for the evidence first, you're never going to change it. So I think be in charge of your own perception, be in charge of your own future, and you can shape the reality that you want.
That is spot on. And from the economy is we're all dealing with the same thing. Spend time with people that talk about the possibilities 100%. Of the economy. If you spend time with people that are just talking about how bad it is, that is going to be your reality. So find some friends that become your mirror, and if it is a ripped physique, that they project that onto you.
100%.
Vusi, thank you for being with us, man.
It's been a pleasure, brother. Appreciate it.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
God bless.
Cheers, everyone.